Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I thought you heard enough this morning, but we'll say a few more things. Now, the purpose of this morning's sessions was to enlighten you about the nature of Zionism, about its global dimension, about the real objective, the objective of not just simply suppressing or persecuting the Palestinians, but actually obstructing the revival of the Ummah. And therefore, when we talk about hunting the Zionist project, this is not the responsibility of the Palestinians alone, or the responsibility of the Arabs alone, but this is the responsibility of the entire Ummah. If you remember, I told you that one of the main reasons for choosing Palestine as a location for the unfolding of the Zionist project was its location right at the heart of the Ummah. And when you insert a dagger in the heart of a body, you paralyze the entire body, becomes unable to think, unable to move, unable to do much. Zionism has been a major obstacle, a major impediment for the revival and the progress of the Ummah. Of course, on the one hand, the decline of the Ummah made it possible for the Zionists to launch their onslaught on us. On the other hand, the revival of the Ummah requires serious confrontation and a project of jihad against Zionism. And when we mention jihad, I know that every one of us aspires to perform jihad. Jihad usually means to us that you carry arms, you go to the battlefield, and you fight until you are either victorious or you are martyred. And we've always hoisted the slogan that dying in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most sublime of our wishes. وَالْمَوْتُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَسْمَى أَمَانِينَا. There are many other aspects of jihad that are no less important, especially at a time when this battle is waged globally. An article written in a newspaper in London or in New York in support of the Palestinian cause, of course if it is allowed to be printed, is definitely a form of jihad. Being able to speak the truth in front of this tyrant world order that is led by blinded policymakers in Washington and the other capitals of Western Europe is definitely a form of jihad. Otherwise, how do we interpret the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? سيد الشهداء حمزة ورجل قام إلى سلطان جائر فأمره ونهاه فقتله. The master of martyrs is Hamza radiallahu anh, and a person who rises to a tyrant ruler, enjoins him to do the good and forbids him to do the evil, and gets killed for it. That's the highest form of martyrdom, without carrying a knife, without carrying a gun, without hurling a bomb. You just say the word, you just speak the truth. And there are very few people nowadays who dare speak the truth, especially in the Arab world, unfortunately. So what do we do about what's going on? First of all, the first responsibility is to really educate ourselves, to learn more about the history of this cause. And we've tried today to open a few chapters, but there are many other chapters that need to be read and understood thoroughly. And that's why each of you need to allocate some time to read, find out which are the best books to read about this, the history of Zionism, the history of Palestine, the nature of the conflict. Because if you do not understand yourself, the second stage or the second step in your responsibility will not be fulfilled, and that is to explain to others. How many people do you think in your own village, in your own town, in your own university understand what's going on? How many people are interested in what's going on? Not many people are interested, by the way, and we know this. I can speak about my own situation in England. When we have a demonstration or when we have a function or when something happens, we know that a very small minority of people show interest because lifestyles, the media, and so many other factors have absorbed the majority of the people in every community. And this is the role of the enlightened. The role of the enlightened is to enlighten. This is a message you carry. This is a torch with which you show people the road, the way forward. So you need to learn first and then be able to explain to others about what's going on. Part of understanding what's going on is clarity about the cause itself. What is our cause in Palestine? What do we want? Do we want a Palestinian state? Palestine was never a Palestinian state in its history. There was never a state there. What do we want then? Sykes-Picot was mentioned earlier this morning. Sykes-Picot is an agreement that comes from the names of two persons, Sykes, the British, and Picot, the French. And they were the ones who drew the new map that became a reality later on after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, creating all these small, miniature, useless, unviable, stupid, tyrant regimes in the Arab world. Useless. They're all dependent on some foreign power. Egypt receives $2.5 billion a year from America. If you receive $2.5 billion from America, are you going to open the Rafah crossing? If the Americans tell you don't open the Rafah crossing, you'll have to remember the $2.5 billion. Otherwise you won't receive them. Jordan was created with a grant from Britain and continues today to be funded by America. So what do you expect? The Gulf countries, despite the huge wealth they have, they don't have enough population to defend themselves, to protect their own wealth and interests. So they need the Americans to protect them. And that's why the Gulf is full of American flotilla. Every single entity that was created as a result of the colonial design for that region after the fall of the Ottoman Empire is an unviable entity. Why would I, as a Palestinian, want to add another unviable entity? Especially an entity or a state as the Israelis and the Americans wish to see. A state in parts of the West Bank and Gaza, having carved the West Bank and confiscated much of its land to build Jewish settlements. They want to create a state whose primary objective is to provide security for Israel. What is the real problem in Palestine? Is it that we don't have a state? No. We, the Palestinians, have always lived in Palestine under whatever power that came and went. First, there were the ancient Egyptians, then the ancient Persians, then the Greek, then the Romans, then the Muslims, through the rightly guided caliphate from Al-Khulafa al-Rashidun to the Umayyads, Al-Amawiyyun, to the Abbasids, Al-Abbasiyun, to the Fatimids, Al-Fatimiyun, to the Sarajiqa, to whatever, to the Umayyads, to the Ottomans. But none of these powers removed us from our homes. We were still in our homes. They came and went. It didn't matter to us. Well, it mattered a little bit, but not really a great deal, because we remained in our houses. What Israel has done, what Zionism has done, is remove us from our homes, throw us